So yeah, as our session is more about, we are going to talk about few things, few important things basically, because this is something as a developer, as an architect, really important. So the topic that we have chosen is version control. How do you perform a version control for your Salesforce project? We will talk about a little bit about what exactly version control is, how it is going to help us, and then we will talk about how you can set up the VS Code and GitHub integration. And that VS Code and GitHub integration will be useful for any project. It's not only about Salesforce. We are going to talk about some basic commands that we will run by our own, and then we will talk about branching and merging, how we are going to create the branches, how do we create the pull request, how we do the code review, how we merge it, and that's basically what we are going to talk about. We will then talk about couple of not couple of one software which will be really making our life easy as a Salesforce developer or as a development person. You are developing in Salesforce, you are developing in Node.js, you are a React person, you are a UI person, any person who is doing that, that's what we are going to do. One request is that if, to everyone, please try to keep this session as much as interactive you can. uh, Shoot your question to me. If you're not speaking, please be on mute. As we are recording the session, we will share the recording with you all so that you can refer it in future. So before I actually talk about the version control, let me open one folder. Let me open one specific folder which I'm going to talk about here, and I will take you to before the version control era. Okay, and this is what I did it personally, because I didn't know what exactly the version control is. How to implement the version control, I really didn't know. Okay, so there is a folder called order management. Let's assume that this is a project that you're working on, order management, and then there are multiple functionalities, like there is a functionality for cart, there is a functionality for address management, there is a functionality called order management. These are all the modules that you will have, like address, cart, order, pricing. Then you will have like login, sorry, there is a typo mistake. You will have login, and then you will have something like logout, right? These are some of the functionality in your order management project. So what usually we do before there was no version control system? So what we used to do is we say, okay, I'm working on, let's say that we all are working on a project, we all are working on a module for cart module. Okay, we are trying to work on the cart functionality. You go to Amazon or you go to any order management system, you select a product and you add it into the cart. User clicks on that cart icon, they see what exactly the item they have added. For example, let me close this postman, not needed. For example, if I open Flipkart, this is a software that is available in India. I'm sure similar kind of softwares are available in other countries. You basically say, for example, I want to buy iPhone 15. However, I don't like it, but still I want to buy. You just go and click on add to cart after opening the product, and it actually takes you to the cart page where you see that this is a product which is added. Then you got that these are all the pricing, there is a discount, no delivery charge. If I want to add some digital suraksha and whatever the product is, I get that these are all here. You go back to the Flipkart, you shop for another phone, maybe Motorola S50 or whatever is there is a phone. I click on add to cart and we see that there are two items, right? So this is the functionality that we are working on. We could be a maybe backend developer, so that whenever a u- so let me maybe probably I will make couple of people co-host so that you guys can help me. whenever for example Ravi, I will make you co-host. So if people are speaking, please mute them. So yeah, we were talking about that. You could be a backend developer. You, let's say that, what I mean is, backend developer means you are opening up phone. This is a product detail page, and yeah, let's say you are a person who is clicking on, whenever I click on notify me, oh, this is not what I want, let me open another product which is at least available. Let's open the same product itself. So let's say when the when the user clicks on this go to cart, you have developed some method behind the scene, and that method is getting called, the UI developer is calling that method. You are creating a cart for that user behind the scene, then you are returning a URL or maybe unique ID for the cart. User is going to that cart. That kind of functionality you are doing, right? So what you do, what I have done is, I usually create the file. How do I create a file here? Let's see. Let me basically open up. I'll go back, cart, services. I'm using a terminal here in my folder itself. So I've created a class add to cart.apex, and here could be some piece of code. I don't want to basically open it, but let's say this is the class that is working fine today. Okay, and then what you could do is, you, let's say later on, there was a there basically came a new requirement. Now what you will do is, you will say, because you are taking the backup, so you will say add to cart underscore final dot apex. There is another change which came here. You again basically created another file which you are saying that add to cart uh, after UAT, after UAT, something like this. Another change came. You you again now doing basically saving the file. You say after UAT, or you say after prod, and now you are adding a date, let's say 2024 16th of June, right? Something like this. So what is happening is, you are trying to manage the versions by yourself. There is no tool, nothing that is helping you to do the version control. You are managing it by yourself. Now whatever the changes are here in this last file, add to cart after prod 16th of June, all these changes will not be available in all other files. So somehow if you lost this, if you lose this kind of file, you will not be able to perform anything, right? That would be basically there will be a problem. You will not be able to figure it out. Even let's say someday someone comes, like, I'm working on this, I completed, cart is functionality is working fine. Someday Ravi comes, he makes some changes into the class. My backup file will still have the same code which I have created or I have developed. Whatever the changes which Ravi had made, these changes basically will be with Ravi only. I will not get those changes. I don't know what changes Ravi has made. And later on, let's say, don't mind Ravi, let's say after making the changes by Ravi, some functionality starts breaking. Now we don't really know what exactly Ravi has done, or who actually has made the changes. Ravi will say, I've tested my changes, these are working fine. The tester or business will come to me, I will say my changes are also working fine, I have not made any changes. Then a blame game starts there, right? A blame game basically will start. So you will basically put the ball, maybe there is a bug, you are now sending it from one developer to another developer and all those developers, right? So basically that is the problem in case of pre-version control era. And believe me, I really did it when I started my career in early 2015. I used to create multiple folders based on the dates. Like every day before I start my work, I create a folder, I take the backup and put there, and before I go or before I log off, I create another folder and then put all the data or all the code there. and that's what I used to do in my early days, because I didn't knew that there is already a tool which can help us to achieve this. Now there is a version control which came into the place. Most of the time we use Git as a version control system, and most probably everyone will be using GitHub as a cloud system for storing the codes, creating the repository and all those things. So what benefits we get out of version control? That is basically why I went to the previous before version control era and talked about what is the problem that we are facing. We don't know who made the change, we don't know what changes were made, we don't know when changes were made, we even don't know if the changes were made and those are available in uh, production or UI or not. That problem is there. Now there is a version control software which we know, that is Git. That's the well-known version control software. There are others as well, but we usually prefer, and everyone, the enterprises are using version control Git as a version control software. So what benefits we get whenever we are talking about version control? We get the benefit of collaboration. That means at the same time, you and your developers, you and your colleague, you and your senior, you and your junior can work on the same file. There will be a better cross collaboration, cross team collaboration will be there, code review will be there, because at the same time, like earlier there was no code review system. You will see the history tracking information. That means who made the changes, what changes were made, when the changes were made, what was the purpose. All these details you get under this history tracking. You get the better branching and merging. Branching and merging means you create the separate playground for yourself. You create a branch, you create a separate playground, so that at the same time, in one functionality your team is working on, and you are working on a different functionality. Assume that you both are working on add to card apex class, but at the same time, when you have different branches, different local development environment, different remote environments, you will be easily able to develop it without a problem. If there is a problem, if there is a conflict, then there is a conflict resolution as well. You can work on how to solve the conflict. You will clearly see which code line is conflicting, where are the changes, and then you will be easily able to basically make the changes. You will be easily able to merge both the changes. You get the backup and recovery option. Backup and recovery means if there is a problem in your production environment, sometimes we should be ready for digester. So if there is a problem, your version control software will give you the ability to restore back to the previous version it was, or to the current version it was. You will have the transparency among who has made the changes. Like the scenario I talked about, right, where I and Ravi were blaming each other on the bug, that okay, it's your bug, and suddenly some other developer came, we gave that bug to that developer, that it is your bug, that kind of things, right? So the blame game cannot be here, because there is a functionality called blame itself, and this blame functionality actually gives you the complete picture of who has made the changes, when the changes were made, what the changes were made. All these details you get under this blame functionality, that actually gives you the audit trail as well. You can always utilize the version control software for implementing your CI/CD pipelines. Continuous deployment, continuous integration can be achieved with the help of these version control software. If you are not using version control software, then I doubt if you could use the CI/CD pipelines or not. Productivity is definitely going to be more efficient. You would be able to manage the task efficiently. You can create different branches efficiently. You can do the conflict resolution as we talked about. And then it comes like security, cross as I talked about, right, there is something called cross team or cross time zone collaboration as well. We will talk about these details in the implementation part itself. All this is just a theory part. Any questions so far?
Quick question, Amit. So does it only handle the code, or it can also handle any flows or other stuff like and the metadata also?
Anything, anything that you have. Even if you want to handle the documents, it can handle documents as well.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, it's just a version control software. It's not like code version control software. When we say version control, it is applying on all kind of data that you have.
Uh, Amit, I have one question.
Yeah.
Usually, our work, what happens? This DevOps team will set up everything, right? And we commit and we update the code. So if I want to do it, for the same for developer org, I mean, whatever the free version I have, I can do right.
Yes, you want to set up everything. You especially you're talking about pipelines, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. There is no such restrictions. GitHub actually gives you all the ability if you want to use GitHub. Azure DevOps gives you all the ability if you want to use that. Bitbucket, GitLab, all these softwares are free to use for you. You can utilize those.
Okay. Are we covering those parts as well in this session?
No, no, we are not covering that part because
Okay.
that's not a one session thing. To be honest, it's a recurring session that gets covered.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
Yeah, there are blogs that I have written on how you can set up a GitHub action. You can go and read that blog that's available in PantherSchools.
Sure. I will do that.
Yeah. Any
So,
further questions?
yeah, hi, I'm Deepak here. Just one question. Can we do only version controlling with GitHub, or we can do the deployments as well?
You can do deployments as well. Earlier it was not, but now GitHub has given a new concept called GitHub Action. So that GitHub Action is actually used for deployment purpose only. So there are two parts. One is GitHub and one is GitHub Action. GitHub Action is mainly for CI/CD. GitHub is more about your version controlling, how you control the versions of your documents, your code, your metadata, or other files that you have.
Amit,
Okay.
sorry. Amit, are we discussing on the how do we set up a pipelines, all those things?
No, we are not discussing that. Okay, keep asking the question. I'll move forward to the next topic before I will start practical implementation. There is a misconception in the market. Whenever we talked about Git and GitHub, people think that both are same. People think that Git is the same what GitHub is. That's not the case. Git is a provider for distributed version control system. So whatever the version control we are doing with the help of Git. And GitHub is a cloud-based platform, you can say web-based platform that is used to store your code, that is used to store your documents, that is used to store any sort of metadata or secrets. If you want to store, you can store that. Behind the scene, GitHub is also using Git for showcasing any version control, any changes that you see that are basically being done by a version control software. So Git is a version control software that is responsible for managing all the changes. That means tracking the history, uh, connecting basically with your remote repository. Remote location could be GitHub, GitLab, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, or any other software. And Git is basically, this is what Git is. GitHub is one of the cloud-based platform that can work with Git to implement the version control software, to showcase the history, showcase the changes, audit trails, boost your team's productivity. Along with GitHub, if you do not want to use GitHub, you have other softwares like GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, and there are, I think, other like Jira also has their own set of things. You can utilize these things. The concept, the commands, process, everything is same. Whatever the command you will use in case of GitHub, the same command you will use in case of Bitbucket, GitLab, Azure DevOps, and other pipelines. So the process and everything is going to be same. Yes, Deepak, you have a question?
Yes. So GitHub is something that will, have the repository on the cloud, right? So we'll be sharing our code to there. So how is it secure? I mean, we are sharing our Salesforce code to something somewhere on the cloud. So they will be having access to the code as well, right?
Yes.
So how is it secure? Is it it is a third party cloud, right? So is it secure to do that?
Of course, let me tell you. See, every cloud management software that I have, let's say if I'm developing a software, I will have my own security mechanism. How I'm implementing it, it's up to me. I might want to basically disclose it at the basically. I tell that okay, this is how the security is being handled, or I might do not do that. Now, if I give you the example of Salesforce, Salesforce is also someone else's computer, right? It is also something that is a third party software. You are putting all your all your data, you're putting more like everything you're putting there, even some sensitive information. You're trusting Salesforce, right? Similarly, GitHub is backed by Microsoft, and Microsoft is bigger than Salesforce, and they have their own set of security settings. So they have their own security settings, and that's, I think, something you don't need to worry about. Your security team, your IT team, and GitHub also have the ability to give you the on-premise system. You can host it on your system as well. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So there are people who are talking about that. Please take the Q&A at the end. So let's focus on session. Don't worry, guys. It was just a theory part, so you don't need to worry about that. Practical will be focused, and we will take the questions. So as people are talking about, let's directly move to the practical implementation. I hope everyone has a GitHub account. If not, please go ahead and sign up for a free GitHub account. I already have. This is my GitHub account. If you have not followed me on GitHub, please do. Okay, I really have very few followers on GitHub. So yeah, let me show you how you do a sign up on GitHub. Okay, so this is let me open an incognito window. Go to github.com. This is how your place will look like. Now you will have to start signing up. So click on sign up. It will take you to the sign up page where some animation is going to pop up. You will have to provide your email address here. For example, I'm providing my email address. Provide a valid email address. Click on continue. Then provide a password. I don't know what password I want to provide here because I forgot. Okay, somehow I made some strong password. Lucky me. Click on continue. Then again enter a username. This is really important. If you want to recognize yourself with a unique username, please do use that username. I'm sure my name is not available because it's a very common name. So I'm trying to say Amit Singh, not sure. Let's say, okay. Let me see. Yeah, it's available. PS-Amit Singh is my username. Click on continue. Do you want to receive notifications? I usually do not prefer to check this checkbox. If you want, please go ahead and click on continue. It will ask you to verify. You will have to play some puzzle game here. Okay, we need to put this direction into the direction of fingers, and that's correct. Let me submit it. Okay, my account is verified, looks like. Now it is asking me to enter the code that has been sent to my email, and unfortunately I don't have access to this email, so I will not be able to enter the code over here. Just 1 second, I will pause the screen share. I'll take my code and then I will put it there. If you have a GitHub account, please do not sign up for a new one. I'm doing it because I just want to make sure that you guys know this, how to sign up. This is for the people who don't really know. Okay, so this is the code which I've received. You have to copy this code. It is 66599292, 66599292, something like this. And yes, my account is created successfully. Now it will ask you to basically log into your GitHub account. So go ahead and log into your GitHub account using the username and password that you have provided. And if your username and password are correct, this is how you will be presented with. Click on just me, continue. If you want like collaborative coding, automated CI/CD, security, this doesn't make any difference. And then click on continue. Yes, this is important part. You need to basically use free version instead of team. Team is paid version. So use free version and this is enough for you. Click on continue for free and you are done. So this is basically one of your, this is how you create your GitHub account. We have not created any repository, nothing. We have not done anything. Okay. We created GitHub account. One important thing after you have created GitHub account, or if you are using your existing GitHub account, the important thing is that you need to go to your profile, go to settings, and then scroll down to the bottom. On the left hand side, you will find there is something called developer settings. Click on that and then go to personal access token from the left hand side. Then click on find grained tokens, whatever you want to. Click on new token. The reason we need to generate this token, this will be, I'm sharing my screen. Anyone else is not able to see?
Can you repeat it again? How to go there? I'm on the Git now.
It's okay.
No, that's fine. I will repeat it, but you can see my screen, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it's visible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Let me confirm it again. Go to profile. Okay. And once you click on profile, you need to select settings there. And once you click on settings, on the left hand side, if you scroll to the down or to the bottom, there is an option called developer settings. Click on that. And once you click on developer settings, you will be taken to this screen where you will have options like GitHub apps, OAuth apps, and then personal access token. Click on personal access token, then click on find grained tokens. This is the place where we need to go. I'm also giving you the link. This link will be same for everyone. So if you click on this link, you will be directly taken to the developer settings. And then there you need to click on generate new token. Here you will have to give your name. So I'm just saying, let's say maybe PS token, something like this. You can give any name. It's invalid, so do not use hyphen. And now the token, okay. PS token is a valid name, good. What is the expiry time of my token? It is recommended that you use some expiry time. Because I'm using it for the demo, I will say 90 days instead of 30 days so that this token will be valid up to 90 days. If you want, you can add a custom expiry and you can just select the future date. Maybe instead of 2024, I want to select June 2024. Okay. 1 year expiry I want to set instead of 90 days. If you want, you can add the token here like this token is used for demo purpose, something like this. Okay. So then we've got public repository, which says what is the repository access that you want for this token to access the repository? All repositories or public? I would say select all repositories, and then under repository permission you will have to provide some access, like which access you want to provide, your GitHub actions or administrator. It says repository creation, deletion, settings, teams, and collaboration. This is the place where we need to provide some permissions. So let's say you want to provide read and write to the repository, provide the permission. Similarly, you can just go to this create and retrieve attention, what is this, attestation, whatever it is, I cannot pronounce it, ignore this part. Code scanning alerts, you can give the access to read only. Code space is not needed. Code metadata, commit status, yes, let's give read and write, because we will be committing, we will be making some changes, we will be committing those changes to the repository. We need access to this commit status. We also need access to content, read and write. Repository content commits, branches, downloads, release, and merges. This is important for us, so we need that. Rest all, if you want to give the access to issues, give it. Pull request, yes, let's give it read and edit. If you want repository, not needed. Webhook, workflows, no. And then for accounts permission, I don't think we need anything. Email address is something, let's give it read only, not read write. Email address is read only, and profile is also read only. We don't have option for read only, so let's say read write. That's it. These are some of the permissions which we need to give it to our token, and then click on generate token. This is the token that you will receive. Please do not refresh the page unless you copy the token and keep it somewhere. So make sure that you are copying the token, keeping it somewhere secure, and some other place where you can easily access it. This will be used in the demo. Okay, so make sure you are taking this access token, you're copying it. Once you go to different pages, any other page, your access token will not be visible. You will have to regenerate it again. So please make sure that you copy it. Yes, Manjunath.
Yeah, Amit, what are those permissions you have given? I mean, is it a mandatory? Like we see different columns. What are those? Like administrations, metadata, custom properties. I'm like, what are those exactly? I mean, like,
This basically, if you read about those, I really don't know every permission, whatever is there. But if you read about those permissions, you will know which permission is there. It's more about the person who is setting up the GitHub. For us, these are the permissions which I've given. These are the ones which you can use. The reason, because whenever you will be connecting it with your GitHub, not with GitHub, your GitHub with VS Code, you will use this token. And if you are not having the proper permission, you will not be able to either push the code or pull the code. So that's the mandatory and important step. Okay. Or you can also utilize token classic. This is much easier than the other one. This is the gain which is in beta access. So you can utilize this token classic. If you click on generate new token, there will be two options. You can select the classic one, and here it is easy for us. We really don't need to go there, read and look up every single thing. So this token classic will be easy for you. So please use this token classic. Provide the name, select the expiration date. I will select no expiration. I don't want to expire my token. This is not available in case of fine-grained tokens. We only want to work with the repository, so we will give the access to repository, and we don't have to work with any other operations. Like we don't have to work with anything. So just give the access to repository. repo, that's it. And go ahead and click on generate token from the bottom. So if you do that, you will again get access token, GitHub token. I will repeat it again. Copy this access token before you go to a different page. If you do not do that, my friend, you will not be able to make it work, or you will have to regenerate the access token. Okay, I hope everyone is on the same page. If you are doing it with me, you are here, you already got the access token. Okay, I have seen a hand raised. Do you want to go ahead? I think it was Ansika.
Yeah, all good, Amit.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, this is one part basically you will have to do. Once you have done with this, let me go to my GitHub account. This is my GitHub, and I've got a lot of repositories. Okay, so the same process, if I want to do, I will have to do the same process. I'm already connected with this GitHub account with my VS Code, so I will not need to generate the tokens and all those kind of things. However, I have already generated to showcase you. Now the thing is that, okay, you got a GitHub account, you got your token. Now you need to connect two things I will show you. Number one, how you connect your GitHub account with the existing repository which is already there. So for example, I'm going to create a new repository here. So go to let me showcase you in this only. If I use this, I will get a, there will be a problem, so I will use my own account. So go to repository tab. Okay, if you do not see repository tab, click on your profile, go to your repositories, and you will be in the repository tab. Click on new. If this all, I'm using a dark theme, you all are might be using theme which is white or light theme. That's it, but the options will be same. Click on new, then choose the owner. You will be by default selected, your username will be selected by default for the owner. I'm seeing multiple here because I have multiple organizations associated with me. And then provide the repo name here. For example, you want to provide, maybe I will say, what I can say, version control or something. If the repository is available, you are good. This is the name of my repo. I want to make it public. If you want to add a readme file, just add it. Add git ignore file. I'll talk about git ignore, but for now, just say, what is this? So there should be a git ignore file. Force.com. Search for force.com. You will find a git, there will be a git ignore generated. If you want to add some license, I want to add a general public license, that is GNU license, and click on create repository. This will create an existing repository for you. This is how your repo will look like. Okay, now what exactly, the reason I'm showcasing you that there is already an existing repository that is present in your GitHub account. Let's say your company's GitHub account, which already have some piece of code over here. Currently we don't have, but let's say there is already an existing repository which already have some piece of code, and now you need to connect this branch with your GitHub. Okay, before I start and showcase you that how you can connect this with your GitHub, there is an important part, that is you need to download a software called Git in your local system. That's the one important thing. Say git download, and this will be gitscm.com/downloads. Depending on which operating system you are using, you will be presented with different operating systems to download. I have shared the link. It will be very easy for the Windows user. You just download it by clicking on click here to download. For Mac OS, I would suggest utilize homebrew software. That is very important and easy. Basically, that is a easy way to install the GitHub into your machine, into your Mac machine. How you do it? You say download Git using homebrew, and the homebrew main page will basically help you. This is the main page that you have, like brew install git, and it will install git for your system. If you do not have brew installed, first you will have to install brew into your machine, and then you need to run this command brew install git. To install the homebrew, you need to search for install homebrew on Mac, and the home page of your homebrew basically will help you how you want to install. This is the command that you need to run, and your brew will be installed. Brew will be installed in your machine. Once you have downloaded your Git into your Windows, make sure that you run the command, and that command is git-version. The command name is same for both Windows and Mac as well, and it will showcase you that which git version is installed into your machine. If it is saying that git is not found as internal or external command, that means there is a problem in the installation of git in your machine. Make sure that you are able to see these details. If not, then there is a problem. There is an installation problem that you have. Okay, so that is the one thing you need to do. Second thing that you need to do is download the GitHub download. GitHub for Mac, because I'm using Mac machine. Sorry, it is GitHub desktop. Yes, GitHub desktop for Mac machine or GitHub desktop for Windows. This is same. Desktop.github.com is a new new site, which by using which you can download the GitHub for your desktop version. This is a tool which we will talk about at the end of the session. But if you are downloading it along with me, please download it. For me, the button says download for Mac OS. For Windows, it might say download for Windows, because it is detecting the operating system, and based on that it is giving the option for us to download. So that's basically the tool we need to download. Okay, that's the tool side. Next thing is that we need to open the VS Code, or shall I wait for a minute or two for someone if you are trying to do something?
Yes, Amit. Please allow 5 minutes.
Okay, I think 5 minutes or more, but in the meantime, yeah, maybe I can take the questions then if someone wants to ask certain questions.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Git is something which we use as a client for all these cloud. I mean, what are you saying? GitHub, or we have some other this one, right? Cloud repositories.
Yes. GitHub is a client.
Okay, it's called a generic client. We can use across all the different products.
Yes, this is a generic client that can. It's a it's a version control system, right? So it will be used with every cloud provider.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other things?
And what is the use of this GitHub desktop?
The GitHub desktop will make your life easy. If you want to install, you can install it. If you do not want to install, that's up to you. It's not going to make much difference, I would say. It's like some people use GitHub desktop. People like me uses terminal to write the commands. Some people uses VS Code itself to pull and push the changes. So it's up to you. It's upon person to person, I would say. All I want to showcase is that there are 3 different ways that you can utilize, and then it's up to you which one you want to choose, which one will be helpful for yourself, which one you find it is more easy for you. That's the reason I'm showcasing you all the options.
So is it required to connect VS Code with GitHub to, like, I have to install GitHub desktop if I want to connect VS Code with GitHub?
Not required.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so I think let's move forward. Okay, next thing that you need to do is open your VS Code and then go to this extensions tab. Okay, this is the extensions tab, and here, if GitHub is not installed, okay, search for GitHub. If it is not installed, most probably it will always be installed. GitHub will always be installed. How do you know if it is installed or not? There will be an icon, something like this: branches, different branches. From one node, there are two nodes opening. If this icon is available, that means GitHub is already installed. The GitHub extension is already installed into your VS Code. There are few things, few great GitHub extensions which I will talk about later on. But for now, let's move on. Okay. So once you are done with the installation of Git, especially Git, you can forget about Git desktop if you not want to use that. Once your installation of Git is complete, the second thing that you need to do is, before even you connect your repository with the VS Code, the second thing that you need to do is, that is, configure your GitHub account into the system. So what are the details that you need to configure is your name and your email. These are the two things that you need to configure. The reason we need to configure, because that is where the Google Chrome is. Yeah, your name and your email is what is going to be displayed into the GitHub. Whenever you are committing some changes, that will be displayed into the GitHub that this is the user which has committed the data into system. So how you will commit that, how you will configure that? There are two commands for that. I'm giving the commands in the chat window so that everyone can copy and keep it with them. These are the templates for the commands. Okay, you can run this command either from the VS Code, or you can run this command from the terminal. We have already opened the VS Code, so I'm going to run that command from VS Code itself. And these are the two commands basically we need to run. Git config, we want to config this user.name globally because this is our machine. We don't have any other user there. So I would say configure it for global user.name, and this has to be your name. This name will be displayed in the GitHub UI, in the GitHub cloud system. Okay, configure this Git, go to terminal into your VS Code. Not able to copy, maybe you can type it. It's pretty simple command. Git config -global user.name, and then within double quotes or single quotes, the name of whatever your name you want to display in the UI. Then go to your terminal of the VS Code and paste that command here. You can do the right click and paste it and hit enter. This is how your command will get executed without a problem. That's done. Next thing is that next command is git config -global user.email, and this is the email which is associated with your GitHub account, and that is how GitHub will identify that which user has made the commit. If you use a different email, it will still show that this user has made the commit, but it will not attach with the GitHub account. You will not be able to navigate to that person in the GitHub account. Okay, so my email that is associated with my account is this. No longer being used, but is still useful. So this is my email, which basically I used to do. I'm using this from a very long time. Okay, and then again run this command to configure your username and password for GIT software. And if your software is not installed, software in the sense GIT, you will get some error like git is not recognized as internal or external command. So that's the second command we need to execute before we basically go ahead and start working on connecting our GitHub or our VS Code to GitHub account. After we are done with this, now we are ready to connect our VS Code with our existing repository. As I talked about, there will be two demo. One, connecting VS Code with the existing repository. Second is connecting VS Code with the brand new repository. You are creating a brand new project. How you can connect it with the VS Code, that's what we have. Okay, so now let's take this. Okay, let me close this incognito window, not needed. Now take this repository, copy the URL, whatever you see the URL here on the top, copy that URL, or what you could do is you click on this code option, code icon next to your main branch, and then once you click on that code icon, you will see that there is a local tab and then there is a HTTPS link. Copy that link. Do not go to SSH, do not go to GitHub CLI. Just go to HTTPS and copy it. Your link is copied. Next thing what you need to do is go to your VS Code, and in your VS Code use hotkeys to open the command palette. I'm sure everyone is aware about that, but if you're not aware about, there are 3 keys for Windows and 3 keys for Mac OS. Control plus P, Control Shift P, Control Shift P. If you execute 3 keys all together, you will be there in the command palette, something like this. Okay, and for Mac OS it is Command Shift P. You can see here again, Command Shift P is basically, Command Shift P is going to open the command palette for Windows. Control Shift P is going to open the command palette for macOS. Okay. Otherwise, if you still don't want to use commands, click on this gear icon from the bottom. You can see here. Click on that and then select command palette. And once you will be selecting the command palette, on the right hand side, you will see what are all the combination of keys that you need to use all together. In our case, it is Shift, Command and P, because I'm using macOS. For you, it will be Shift, Control and P if you are using Windows. Click on this, it will open the command palette. Search for GIT. As soon as you search for GIT, there will be a lot of commands that will be coming up for you. Forget about this GIT graph because this is an extension which I have installed. So you might see something like this. And here there will be multiple commands that you can see here. And the one that we are more interested in should be git clone or something, rstuv. Okay, let me see which. I rarely use this command palette, that's why I'm not able to find out. Yes, create branch. Git create branch is basically the branch that we want. Git create branch is the command that we want to utilize, but I really don't want to use this, to be honest. I will be using a different way of utilizing or cloning my repository. The reason is that because I'm not confident enough using this command pilot, which is create branch, but I will showcase you. Git create branch, if you click on that, oh, this is a different, this is a different command which we have chosen, that is for creating the branch. I will search for git repo something, git, yes. Where is that git? No, I don't find that command here. I will show you what exactly you need to do to clone that repo. So let's say you wanted to clone the repo in a certain folder. In our case, we have a folder called order management. This is where I wanted to clone my repository inside this order management. Okay. So I'm going to open, if I can open this, okay, let me see. Okay, no problem. I'll go back to my desktop because I'm using Mac OS. So I'm trying to open terminal inside this folder called order management. Okay, if you are using Windows, I believe it will be easy for you to open the terminal under that folder called order management. And then after you have opened the terminal, or after you have opened the command prompt, what you need to do is you need to say git clone and then paste the repo link that you have copied. This is a simple command, git space clone space paste the command that you have copied and hit enter. What it will do is, if you have access to this repo, because I have made this repository as public, even if I give this link to you guys, you will also be able to clone this repo because it's a public repo. I've made this as public. But if somehow I have made this repository as private, then what GitHub will do is, GitHub will first check if I have permission to clone this repo or not. If I don't have permission, it will ask us to log in. It will ask you to log in into GitHub account. I am already set up. My GitHub account is already set up. So unfortunately, I'm not able to showcase that part. But the person, if you're doing it for the first time, you will be prompted to log in, or it might ask you to provide the username here in the command prompt itself. It will provide you to give the username. When it asks you to give the username, use the username which you have used while creating the GitHub account. Important thing is that it will ask password. When it will ask for password, then you don't need to use password. You need to use the token that you have generated. If you remember, that's why I talked about that, keep the token safe. So you need to use GitHub token as a password in place of password. Again, because I'm not able to showcase you, so even if you are facing a problem, please do let me know. In future, if you face a problem, please reach out to me and I will definitely help you connecting your GitHub with your local machine, with your machine, whatever you have. Okay. So assuming that you are not getting a problem, you are able to connect, you are able to clone the repo, we are moving forward. But one important thing that I would say is, I have created this repository which is public. I would request you guys to create a repository which is private. That way it will ask you to log in and you will be able to set up the account. And if you are facing a problem, we can discuss on that, how to solve it. Okay. So if someone is doing it, please utilize the private repository and then try to do the things. So once you have cloned this repository, your cloning is done 100%. If you go to order management project, you will find there is a folder called version control. This is what our repository is. Now let me delete rest of all the folders because I don't need. This is your project is version control, which has two files, readme.md and license file. We don't see anything else. The reason we don't see anything else because everything else is hidden. Let me showcase the hidden files. For macOS, it is, I believe, control shift dot. It's not showcasing. Maybe not, sorry, control shift dot. No. Command shift dot. No. I'm not able to, I don't know how to showcase the hidden folders in case of macOS. Windows, it is very easy. You just go to view and click on the checkbox show hidden files and folders. You will see that. For macOS, let me Google it, because I have there was no requirement for me, so I did not use that. It is so hidden files Mac. It is command plus shift plus dot. Let's see if it is showcasing us. Command shift dot. Command shift dot. No. Okay, if I go here, do I have anything? No. Okay, sorry. We were checking at the wrong place. Command shift dot is the short key for macOS, and you can see here there is a file called git ignore, and then there is a folder called .git. This is your main folder. This is the heart of your version control. If you delete this folder, you are doomed. Your version control for this repository will stop working. There are multiple options here, multiple folders. I'll not talk about each and everything, but there will be one file which will get created. We will talk about that. But this folder is basically the heart of your version control folder. .git, that's why it is actually hidden, so that you cannot make any changes, you don't modify it, and you don't need to bother about what extra folder it is here. Okay, so your project is here. Now all we need is we need to open this project into the VS Code so that we can work on that. Okay, however, this is not actually a SFDX project. This is not actually a SFDX project. You already know how to clone that. What I will do is now I will utilize a repository which is using the SFDX project structure. I'll create a new repo, not new repo, basically I'll use an existing repo so that I can showcase you. There is a which project is using, let me see whatever I have, a lot of repo. Let me see if I can use this Salesforce project. This is not using SFDX structure, I'll not use that. Salesforce shorthands. This project is good. You can also utilize it to clone if you want, but that's fine. This is a project which is following SFDX structure. So I will clone this project instead of existing one, instead of the new one. I'll say git clone and my repo. I've got this project which is Salesforce shorthands. I've got all the details here. You can see .git, .github, some other catch files. If I go to Git, I see all the details which we talked about earlier, and that's fine. Let's open this project. After you have cloned your repository, go to VS Code and open that cloned repository into the VS Code. This is a folder basically. Salesforce shorthands is a folder within a folder called order management. And that's what we need to open into our VS Code project. So while you are into your VS Code, click on File, Open Folder, and then go to the place where your folder is located, select your actual folder and click on Open. I don't want to save this. And if you are prompted with this, that do you trust the authors? Yes, I do trust. And your file, your project will be opened here. Salesforce shorthands is a project. I have got SFDX SRC that has got multiple projects for me. Every project is in the form of SFDX directory, and that's fine. Oh, I can see 4,000 plus file chains. Wow, these are all the files. I really do not want these to be here. Let me discard these. Please don't pay attention on this. Okay, this is how your project will look like. No changes available, nothing, and you're done. And one important thing that you need to notice here, on the bottom you see I'm connected with the GitHub, and it says it is a master branch. Do not ever make changes into the master branch. Master branch is considered as the production environment. Master branch is what considered as the production environment. So do not make changes here. If you want to make changes, you want to play around with something, always create a branch out of your master branch, your dev branch, or your UAT branch, whatever the branch you want to create a new branch out of that and then play around there in that branch. Branching is more like your own playground, which is in local. You make the changes into your branch. None of the other branches will be impacted. You create a new class, master branch is remaining intact. There is nothing in that master branch. How you will create a branch? There are multiple ways to create that. Go to this GitHub icon. This is the third icon from the top on the left hand side. Then next to source control, click on three dots and click on checkout to. This is an option you need to select, checkout to, and it will basically list down all the branches that are available into your origin. All these branches are like your remote branches. Okay, you need to create a new branch. So what you will do is give your name, give the name of your branch like feature / let's say I'm saying add to cart. Okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to create. I said feature / add to cart and then say that create a new branch, or you can select create a new branch from. If you select create a new branch, it will create branch out of master branch because you are in the master branch currently. But if you want to choose a different branch, you can say create a new branch from and then select which branch you want to select, which is your source branch going to be. I want to use master, so I will use master branch itself, or I can use origin master, that is my remote branch, and there will be branch created called feature add to cart. You can see here, this is my local branch. I have created this branch in my local machine and it is available here only. It's not available into the remote. It is not available in GitHub. So what we will do after creating the branch, we can add the classes, we can add the objects, fields, permission set, metadata, flow, anything. Let's say I want to create a class called add to cart, and yeah, anywhere I want to just add a class, that's it. This is a class, and you can see here, as soon as you add a class, you clearly see that there are two changes which you have made. If I want, maybe let's say cart detail service, this is a new class I want to add. You get 4 changes are available. You create maybe some component, let's say a lightning web component, and you say cart detail page. You create the components, the changes will start coming up over here. Okay, that is how your changes will come up. If you click on any of the file name, you will see that earlier there was no file, there was nothing in the file. The first thing, the left column will always be your previous version, what was there earlier, what was not there. The right column will be what changes you have made. These are all the new changes. Let me show you. If I have some existing file like classes, logger class, if I add some other method, maybe I'm adding a method here, public static void log async. This is an existing class which we are modifying it, log async log, and that's it. I'm not deploying it to the org, but I've just made the changes to the file called logger.cls, and this is actually added few methods. If you go to the changes, you will clearly see what all changes you have made, and you click on logger class, you will see what changes has been done here. It says that line number 5 and 6 has been modified. Clearly 5 and 6 has been modified here. It says what has been removed or what has been added. If you scroll to the bottom, you will see these are the two new methods which has been added, because these are basically the new addition. I have not removed anything. These are new addition. On the other hand, if we go back to logger class again, let me copy paste the two lines again and comment out the top one, save it. If you go to the changes again, this time you will see that these are the two new additions. I've commented out these two files. That's basically how the Git lets you know, or Git helps you that, okay, if you are making a changes, you can clearly see in your local machine that what change you have made. Is it really a valid change? If it is not a valid change, you don't need to include in the commit. Okay, assume that you are done with the work, you deployed it to your sandbox, development sandbox, your testing is completed, your everything is done. Now you want to make sure that you commit your changes to the remote. The reason is that maybe tomorrow you are going on leave, you have worked on something which is currently in your local machine, which is not there in repository. Some other developer has to work, or let's say that I am working in Indian time zone, someone is working in USA time zone. There is hardly a chance that we overlap our timings, right? So whatever I'm working on, I'm pushing it to the remote section, to the remote branch, so that later on some other developer can pull those changes and start working on it. I will showcase you the pulling part as well. So after you made your changes, you need to commit the changes to the GitHub. You need to commit the changes. Let's say you went through with all these changes, you know that all these changes are fine. You just go and click on plus sign next to the file which you want to commit it, and it will go to the staging area. Staging area is a black box area that we don't have access to. This is an area by which Git actually manages which changes you have made, what commit you have made, and all those things. And then you need to provide a proper message here. This is where the messaging comes into the picture. You can say add to cart functionality. So what you are telling is that in this commit, whatever the commit you are trying to make, in this commit you have added a add to cart functionality, and you commit it. As soon as you click on this commit, the commit will be recorded against your name, against your username, against your email which you have configured. And whenever you will click on publish branch, because this is a new branch you have created, for the first time it will ask you to publish the branch. As soon as you publish this branch, every commit will be published. Let's click on publish branch. It will create a new branch into the repo and it will publish the changes. I'm not showcasing the branch currently because I want to make few additional changes. Let's say we are adding a method like public static void add to cart. Sorry, that's the class name itself. So I will say add cart. This is one method, and similarly there will be another method which I will say fetch active card. This is a class we have again made the changes into this class, right? You can see here, if you click on the changes, you will see what all changes had been added or removed. Now you are committing the changes. This time we will say added, add cart, and fetch active cart method. This messaging has to be clear. Whatever you are committing, this messaging has to be clear, and clear to that extent that if someone else is looking at that comment, or commit, they clearly know that what exactly you have made the changes. Let's click on commit. Sorry, we forgot to stage the changes. That is why it is asking there is no staged commit changes to commit. Let's click on cancel. First go ahead and stage the changes and then commit it. Earlier it was saying that publish branch. This time it is saying that sync changes. That's the key thing here. Because the branch is already there in the repository, now your GitHub know that this branch feature add to cart is also available into the repository with the same branch. That is why it is asking you to say sync changes. And sync changes, there is a number called 1 and the arrow is to the top. The arrow is from bottom to top. It is saying that there is one commit that has to go from your local to the remote branch. Click on sync changes. Okay, your changes will be synced. Now if you go back to Google Chrome or whatever the browser you are using, go back to your branch, you will clearly see that it says feature add to cart had recent push 2 seconds ago. If you click on the feature branch name, you will see here this branch is 2 commits ahead of master. It is telling that master branch had some this branch have some changes which are not available into the master branch. That is something we will talk later. What do you see here? The very first thing, add cart and fetch active cart method. This is the second commit we have seen. There is a unique ID against every commit message that you put. If you click on that commit message, it will show you what changes you have made. Who was the user who made the changes? Okay, if you hover over to the user, you will see all the details. That is what basically the power of your version control system is. I was talking about a blame functionality, right? So if you go to code and open any file, let me we are under master branch. If I go to sfdx src custom file upload classes and open a class which is file uploader service, you can see next to this code there is another tab called blame. If I click on this tab blame, it will tell you who was the user. You clearly see this is a different user. This is not my actual user. This is a different user. This is my actual user. So this user, which is again me only, using a different name and email, that's why it is saying that it is a user who has committed these changes into the repository. There was only one contribution. That is why on the right hand side, it is showing that there is only one contributor. So this blame functionality will actually give you a lot of information about what changes you have made. Let me show you one thing. There is a repository which I'm using frequently, and that repository is Salesforce integration. If I go to any class, for example, there is a class which I have made the changes today itself, and this class has to be account planner is my class. Yeah, this is a class. Okay, if I click on blame, I think this is a newly added only, but you can see that 3 hours ago I had added this class, and this is what the commit message I have added, and this is the user who actually made the commit. I'm not sure if I have any other class where I have made multiple commits, but you will see all the commits over here coming up. Metadata utils, maybe it could be.
Could be
Yeah.
unchained desk class.
Yes, you see here 3 weeks ago, last week, 3 weeks ago, these are all the commits I have actually made, and it is clearly telling us what was the date, what was the message. If you click on this, let's say you want to know what changes were there as part of this commit. If you click on this, it will tell you what are all the changes were there. So that is how you will be able to track down the histories as well, and no blame game will be there. You will be getting every single detail about the person who has made the commit, the changes, and all the details. This is what you get into your remote. What if you want to get all these details into your local? Currently, I don't see anything here, right? There is an extension that you can install here, which is if you search for GitHub, there is an extension that you can install, and what is the name of that extension is, I think it is GitHub history or something. It should be GIT history. Let me see. Yes, GIT history. This is one of the great tool that you have if you install this GIT history. And then now if you go to your Apex class, not sure if it has taken place or not, but it actually tells you here itself in the Apex class that this person has made these changes, this was the commit, this was the date, and all those details. Let me see what exactly. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's basically the one key extension that I wanted to tell you, and I believe this is the reload icon. If you click on it, it tells you what was the history and all those changes are made here. There is one more important extension which I've installed. Yes, GIT Lens is the GitHub extension. Thank you for putting that. GIT Lens is the GitHub extension. GIT Lens, yes, sorry. This is the extension which you need to install, GIT Lens. It actually helps you to track whatever the details. You see here, as soon as you installed, it's talk about, I have made changes 2 years ago. This was the commit message. And if you go to that line, you see what are all the changes has been made, including the commit and everything. If you click on this commit ID, and what is this? I really don't want to go ahead because this is really going to be more and more confusing for you guys. Okay, I'll not go on that part, but this is something that helps you to track all the details. GIT Lens is one of the great extension that you see. The second extension that I was talking about is GIT Graph. This is also one of the powerful extension that I'm using, and this actually helps us to visualize how the changes were made from one branch to another branch in the form of zigzag, or you can say tree. So if you install this GitHub GIT Graph that is already installed on my machine, there will be a GIT Graph icon on the bottom blue line of your VS Code. Click on that. It will tell you whatever all the commits you have made. Like up to here, we were on the master branch, and then we created another branch, which is feature branch. Then we again went to another. So these are all basically, this is a branch: origin custom lookup, origin LWC table, master. This is currently where we are in. This circle is telling us that this is where we are in currently. If you click on any of these details, you will see what were the changes that were made as part of that commit. So this is basically a really helpful and powerful extension that you can utilize to see what changes were made, which user has made the changes. You can see all the details here. All the proper details are added over here, including the commit ID, what was the parent commit, who was the author, when exactly the time and everything, and what was the commit. That's basically how powerful Git can be in terms of while you are working with your development projects. And this is not about Salesforce, this is about every single technology that you are working or you might work in future. So that was about how you connect your VS Code with the existing project which is already available into your GitHub environment, which will be the case in most of the time when you are working for a company. The second use case is that how you create a new project and connect it. We will talk about after the Q&A if there are any questions. No questions? Okay, looks like I bored you a lot.
I have one question. So, let's say so we have this main branch, that is master branch, which is a copy of production. Okay, and we work in a sandbox environments. So what we normally do is from VS Code we push the source to the sandbox or retrieve it from sandbox. So what we need to do is first we create the local copy, then push that local copy to sandbox, then test it, then commit it to the master branch. Is that so?
No, what you just said.
So, with respect to Salesforce, right, we what we will do is we will have sandboxes as DevOps and UAT and all. So, what we do is from VS Code, we will push our changes into our lower sandboxes, DevOps and all. So, when we make a remove local copy from our master branch, we will push our changes to sandboxes first, test it there, then we will push it to the master branch, right?
You will not push the changes to master branch. You will
Okay.
not have the permission to push the changes to the master branch.
Okay.
The changes that you will push is only to your feature branch. That's it. That's the only that is the only role that you have. Nothing more than that. You will not do anything extra after that, unless you are the team lead, you are the person who has the permission to do all those things. As a
Mhm.
developer, you will only push the changes to your feature branch from and to your developer org. Developer means your sandbox org, where you are developing the changes. You have done the testing. From now on, it is DevOps person responsibility to deploy the code into the respective sandboxes for further testing. And if everything goes well, then finally the changes will go to production. Nothing will go before that. Production branch is basically a branch which is a very crucial branch, that changes will go only to the master branch if the UAT has been successfully signed off by the customers, by the business users, and now the business is confident enough, now the release manager is confident enough that these changes can be merged into the master branch, then only it will be merged. You will not do. This is a person's responsibility who's managing the release. How you will do, we will see that.
Okay, so merging is also not developer's responsibility.
It's not developer's responsibility. Okay, there is a question which Ravi has asked, what the other person has to do if we made a lot of changes in my branch. It's a good question. First of all, the other person will know what are all the changes you have made. Second thing, suppose that we both are working on the same class called add to cart. You are in Australia time zone, I'm in India time zone. Fortunately, we can overlap, but let's consider you are in USA and I'm in India. We don't have a time overlap. You are working maybe in PST time zone or something. So you have added the functionality like add to cart into your class. And I'm working on a functionality called fetch active card, or maybe I'm working on cart detail or some other functionality. So I need to know what are changes you have made and in which line you have made the changes. So because we are working on the same class add to cart, we need to know what are my changes so that you don't override them, and I need to I need to know what are your changes so that I don't override them. For example, let's go to the remote branch because we don't have two systems. So we will consider our feature branch, our repository as a separate person. Okay. Feature add to cart. Let's say you made your changes, you committed. Now it's my turn where I need to go to sfdcpanther and I'm making changes into the Apex class, add to cart. Okay. I removed the constructor because that is not of any use. And then I added one more method which is public static void, let's say fetch past cart. Okay, fetch past cart. This is a simple SOQL query method, but that is going to explain us what we are doing. And then I committed here, commit changes. I've added a method here, say what happened. added past cart method, and you can add extended description as well. And I'm committing to the feature branch, commit changes. This is one of the method I have made the changes to. Now I went to sleep. It's your turn. You need to start working on it. First thing that you should do, it's my recommendation, that's what I do is go to my branch. If I'm working on the same branch and I know that some person is already working on the same branch, what I will do is I will pull the changes into this branch from origin. How you will do the pulling? Go to your GitHub icon, click on the three dots next to source version control, and then click on pull, the third option from the top. Once you pull the changes, you will see that there are further changes which has been made. And then you know that, okay, there is a method which has been added. If I need to start working on, you will start working from here. So the what I say is messaging will be clear, collaboration will be better, and you will know that the other person, the other developer who is from your team is working on what functionality, what he or she is doing. That's the purpose of committing and knowing what you are doing. These logs and everything becomes really handy for the team lead who is reviewing your code, or for the architect who is working on the system to know what all changes you have made. Now, as there was a question about merging, let's first talk about merging the code change and then we will go to the final topic. So let's say your code is committed, you have done the testing into lower sandbox, you're confident enough this is ready to go to the sandbox. What you will do is you will go to your branch, your GitHub org, go to the repository, open the code, go to code section, or go to pull request, click on compare and pull request. If you see that there is a button called compare and pull request, which is basically generated for your branch only. Do not do compare and pull request for the branch which is not owned by you, until unless you are the person responsible for that. Okay, so click on compare and pull request, or you click on new pull request button. It will open the interface like this. Base branch is the branch where you want to merge the changes. In our case, we want to merge the changes to master, so we will select master as a base branch. And then there is a compare branch. This is your branch from where you want to basically commit. It is from which to which branch you want to push the changes, merge the changes. Compare is the branch which is your own branch. We are going to select feature add to cart. As soon as you select the correct branches, you will see all the commits which has been added, all the files which has been changed here. And if you are good, you know that these are my files only, go ahead and click on create pull request. Provide a proper title, maybe add to cart functionality. Add the proper message like added these classes are containing these methods. This is the purpose of this method. Go ahead and click on create pull request. Once you do create pull request and all those things, if there is a pipeline involved here, it will start running, it will start validating the changes against one org, and if everything is fine, it will give you the button called merge pull request if you have the permission. If you don't have the permission, there will be a message like merged is blocked, something like that. And then you can click on this merge pull request to merge your changes to the master branch. That is how the merging will happen. I will not merge these changes because my master branch is really containing a lot of code which is being used by many people, so I'm not going to do that. But that's how basically you merge it. That's what is called as merge request, that what is called as pull request. These are the two names that people uses frequently. If you go to file change tab, you will see what are all the changes has been made as part of this pull request. What are the locations of your folders, what is the location of your file. You will get all these details over here. Next thing is that suppose that you are basically trying to create a new project. You are working personally, you wanted to create a new project, something, and you wanted to push those changes to the GitHub. Let's create a project. Go to command palette and search for create project. Create project with manifest. Select standard as a template and then provide the name. So I will say maybe version control demo. This is the name of my project. Hit enter. It will ask you to select the folder. Let me go to desktop only and create the project. This is your brand new project which is not GitHub enabled, which is not connected to GitHub. You want to connect this project and push these changes to GitHub. That is basically what you want. You can start pushing the changes directly to GitHub, or you might wanted to add some triggers and all those things, and then you wanted to push it to GitHub. It is up to you. For that, what you need to do is click on this GitHub icon. This is going to be your friend. Click on this GitHub icon. You will have two options: initialize repository, publish to GitHub. Initialize repository is the button you need to click on. As soon as you click on initialize repository, it is going to create .git folder, and it will tell you that these are the changes you need to commit on. And on the bottom left, you will see that now it is saying that you are on the main branch. So if you are creating your project for the first time, make sure you do not switch the branch like we switched. Do not switch, okay? And let's say you want to add all these changes to the staged area at once. Then hover over to the changes, click on this plus sign, and it will stage all the changes instead of doing one by one. Add the commit here. I'm saying that initial commit, and then click on commit. Once you click on commit, it is asking you to publish the branch. Similarly, it asked earlier. Click on publish branch, and this time it will ask you what is the name of your repository. Do you want to make it a private repository, or do you want to make it a public repository? If you are working for a personal project, it should be the private repository. So select the private repository option, and then it will publish the code. It will create a branch, the repository there, and it will create a branch, and then it will push the code. After the successful pushing, you will see there is a message here on the bottom side, and click on open on GitHub. It will open GitHub, your branch. It will tell you it's a private repository and all the changes are here. Next, you can start creating the branches and start working on it. So that's basically how you connect your GitHub with your VS Code along with the GIT as a version control software, and work on the different versioning of your coding system, different softwares, different projects, documents, metadata, and anything. Later on, once you make the changes, you will know which commit, what changes you have posed, and you can easily understand the details. So that's all we have. And GitHub Desktop is the software that we had. I think we can skip that part. We'll move forward. If someone has the questions, we can maybe take questions for 10 to 15 minutes. Otherwise, we will wrap this call. Yeah, over to you guys. Okay, looks like no one has any questions. If that's the case, we are good.
Amit, Ravi is asking what is forking. Yeah, even I do have a same question.
Which one?
There's a comment from Ravi. Forking options.
What
The
is
GitHub
forking and what's the next thing?
as it's different to cloning a repo.
Oh,
Is
it's
it
a has. Okay, it's
have
has. Forking is basically if you have a different repository. You cannot fork your own repo, first of all. Okay. You can, sorry. Forking is more like you are creating a copy of your repository. Okay. So let's say I have a repo called Salesforce Integration Reloaded. Now this is my repo, right? You cannot make changes to my repo. You cannot do anything. You cannot push anything. So what you will have to do is you can fork this. You click on fork and then you provide the name, like it says fork integration. Let's say I'm saying fork. This is the name of my branch, or you can also do that. Okay, and then click on create fork. Sorry, I have to choose the owner. You see here, I cannot fork my own repository because there is already the repository for the same thing. If I want to fork, maybe let's say within PantherSchools organization, and I want to fork this repo, now I will use the same name, and then it says copy the main branch only. So if you check this checkbox, it will only copy the main branch, not the other branches which are also available. If you uncheck this, all the branches will be copied. Click on create fork. So what it will do is it will create a copy in my username PantherSchools. Now what I can do is I can always keep syncing this my project. Let's say I updated my project Salesforce integration with my username, and you want to sync, you want to know what are the latest changes that the other person has added into the repo. You just click on sync fork and it will sync the changes. So that is the use of fork. It's not for cloning the repository, it's more about copying a repository into your username.
can we say like this, like contributing to the any public repos or any other repositories, not our own repositories? For example, assume that we have some IRCTC repo where I want to implement some functionality for that repo with my name. So we can implement that functionality and we can commit to them so that they can use. Forking is nothing but I'm just giving my additional functionality, whatever I am thinking, like I can implement this in the repo.
You can implement this, but you cannot directly commit to their branches. You will have to raise a PR.
That's what pull request. I will do it. I mean,
You will have to raise a PR. But my question is that do you really found the IRCTC repo? I would like to see that.
I'm just giving an example. Some public domains repos where
Okay. Yeah, that's also one use case for that. There is a question from Gaurav. I know it's a lot harder to digest in a single session. Yes, recording will be available. Keep an eye and subscribe to my channel. How can I revert the commit after creating a commit to Git? You can revert it. There are a lot of, I would say, there are a lot of commands for that. Reverting is not an easy thing. First of all, I would say, okay, reverting is not an easy thing. So there is a command called git revert. Okay, I will not showcase this, but there is a command called git revert. You might wanted to go ahead and learn about this. Basically, this command actually helps you to revert the changes if you want to. It takes the last commit, or it takes whatever the commit you want to revert. So you need to say git revert and provide the commit id, and it will revert that commit to your branch. How, let's say, not exactly showcasing you, but how you find the commit id is you say git log from your terminal, from your branch, and you will see what are all the commits has been made. So you can see here, this is the commit id, and this is the commit id that you need to provide in case of your revert functionality. Let me try if this works. That is good. You say git revert, and yes, it is time to revert the changes, but now I will really have to close this VS Code. It got hanged. But yes, you can do that, and that's basically the command for reverting the changes. Okay, and it will delete all the commits that you have made. I hope that answers your question. Okay, any other questions? Okay, and need to, yes, you need to recommit after reverting the changes. That is how it will work. After you revert the changes, you again need to recommit the reverse commit. Then only GitHub will identify that these changes are reverted.
I mean, do we have any documentation for this?
This is the one, the
No, not
GIDS.
this, not this, not this. For this session,
No documents.
not.
It was all practical implementation only, and me talking a lot of shit.
No, initially as when we started, I saw like we have that page, right?
This is just a simple page. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone was saying something. Okay. Looks like no more questions. Then with this we wrap the session.